In this video, I'm gonna give you a case study of a home service business that's going from $1 million in annual revenue to $3 million in annual revenue. And they're using all the playbooks that are contained inside of my book, Copy and Paste Millionaire. This is actually going to be a coaching call, a one-on-one call with Zach from Downspout Exterior Cleaning, where they do pressure washing, house cleaning, soft wash, gutters, as well as Christmas lights. And we're gonna be figuring out how we can take his business from a very profitable GM run location with him kind of juggling everything to actually delegating roles around sales, operations, and admin so he can grow to $3 million at his one location, but then make it the hub to the hub and spoke model where he copies and pastes $1 million locations around the East Coast. Without any further delay, let's get to Zach from Downspout Exterior Cleaning.
So to be honest with you, Mike, I'm at a stage in the business right now where I wrote out a business plan about 2 years ago, and I didn't think I would be this good at calling my shot, but I've kind of called my shot. And we're at $1 million. I have a general manager who has honestly taken over a ton of the role of admin. He sold like about $250,000 in sales this year and manages a great job managing the schedule. And I'm at this inflection point where I feel like, all right, how do we get to that next step? So honestly, I put together that briefing to kind of give you an idea of where we're at, but I wanted to share with you like my goal in order to get to that 3 million mark and then on to 5 and then 10. I get a lot of advice from a lot of people. I'm very fortunate to have an awesome core group of guys that I can refer to, guys that own that roofing company. They do like $10 million a year. And I think they might have gone a little bit past that this year. My friend started a franchise called Launch Trampoline Parks. I don't know if you've heard of them, but their total network value is around 100 million. And now he sold that, and now he started the fencing company, like doing installs and whatnot. And I have another friend of mine who built up a PT practice that now he just goes around and buys other PT practices and does like a corporate roll-up model. So therein lies a perfect example of like the roofing guys doing more of a corporate grow organic model, franchise model, similar to like what you've done, and then the corporate roll-up model. So I feel like I'm in this span. I want to make sure that we get all our systems and processes really dialed in before I start to say, okay, let's get to 3 million, because that won't happen, per your copy and paste book if we don't have everything dialed in. So I wanted to get your eyes on the P&L if that's possible. I have it up here. And I'd honestly like you to kind of like ask questions and be like, hey, what's up with this? And like poke holes and things. Because that's where I get my indecisiveness, is where I don't know where to put and allocate funds. Like when I take distributions, when we can hire and properly maintain good talent. Like I've been working through my GM's compensation plan all this past like couple weeks over the holiday. So that's just me throwing a whole bunch of stuff at you. I know we don't have a ton of time, but I figured I'd just start with that.
Yeah, totally. And so are you set on a specific scaling strategy? Like, are you like, hey, I'm doing corporate, or I'm going to do franchising, or I'm going to do multiple locations, or I'm going to do like a $10, $15 million, like, do you have a specific path you already want to travel down, or are you kind of open to possibilities right now?
I'm honestly open to possibilities. Like I just finished your book, Copy and Paste Millionaire, like probably last week. Love the hub and spoke model. That's honestly how I was kind of trending as I was building it out. And when you laid it all out on the line, I was like, oh, wow, this makes like perfect sense. But I mean, my lifetime goal is to get to like $100 million company. Like that's my lifetime goal. Right now, within the next 5 years, if I can get to like 8 figures, like doing $10 million a year, short-term goal is to get us to $1 million in EBITDA, which I think we can do between 3 and 5 million in top line revenue based on our margins that we're seeing now. The biggest decisions I have to make right now are like hiring a sales rep and then hiring an admin, because I don't have an admin. Dan has been doing a phenomenal job doing admin. He's definitely underpaid and overworked at this point. Sales rep, I need to get out of the residential sales and focus on the bigger ticket commercial sales. That's where I think I need to be. Open to suggestions on how to grow and scale, and open to suggestions on when to hire those people too.
Yeah, you're definitely like that $1 million to $3 million phase is like the most precarious, because you're still involved a little bit in lots of aspects of the business. And so finding those key people early is going to be the thing that like you just lock those whole departments down. So like the thing I don't really talk about in the book is a big reason why we franchised is because I knew I'd lose my best admin and my best salesperson. And that was like Lee and Liz. If we didn't
Mm,
do something, if I didn't challenge them. And so I think you're profitable enough. And if you're okay with having a year where, hey, we don't make more profit, but I go out and get two like absolute, killers that can just take these departments away from me, that would
mhm,
probably be my recommendation. And it sounds like you have a really good network too that you could also
mhm,
tap into and be like, hey, I want like the best admin person and then your current admin person, or you move your current admin person up into that role. Like they move up and they're gonna have to learn new skills of management, be able to
mhm.
take their admin skills and duplicate them, and you'll create an LMS learning management system for their admin team. Same thing with the sales side. Like you don't want to have to be trained the salesperson down the road. You want them to step in and be like, oh, these are like 10 different ways you can do it better. And then by the way, I can train a whole team. Like
Yeah.
when you have those things like taken off your plate, then you can scale. Because what I see a lot of people, the reason it won't get past 3 million is because you're the best salesperson. You've got to teach everything to that person that you hire for sales, and then you get an admin person that you got to teach them everything about admin, and then they get people coming along and they have no idea how to manage, so you got to teach them how to manage them, and then you're actually managing their direct reports, and so that's where people stall at around that $3 million marker. So
Mhm,
either investing into your current admin guy and finding an excellent salesperson, that would be the unlock, and you have the profit margin to do it. But if
mhm.
you were able to lock those two down and then go after an operations person, probably like next year,
Mhm.
that's probably gets you to 10 million.
That's
Getting three solid people.
Yeah. Now, do you think that 10 million, I don't know if I mean, here's the other thing is too, is like Rhode Island is a very interesting market because it's super consolidated and we have massive amounts of people and homes and also
Yep.
very high end. Like I just learned that the per acre Rhode Island is the highest per acre cost in the United States, 385
Let's go.
grand. So
Wow.
like we have like this almost like this triangle of wealth between Boston, Providence, Rhode Island, and then all the way to, Manhattan, basically.
Yeah.
So at what point do you say, okay, Rhode Island's tapped out? Like, can Rhode Island get to 3 million? I don't know. Can it get to 2 million? Or now we go move into Connecticut? Like that was kind of my plan for next year is like slowly start to matriculate into Connecticut because we already service part of it. So we kind of have a book of business over there. But the other part of that is like getting our recurring revenue here so that I feel like we can then copy and paste that over into Connecticut. So like
How
when
far
would
is
you
the
decide?
drive over there to Connecticut now?
So our shop is like perfectly centralized, where it's like
Okay.
30 minutes to Connecticut, and it's
Oh.
actually around 30 minutes to Providence, Rhode Island. So it's honestly like we can either stay in Rhode Island or we could go to Connecticut, and time difference really doesn't matter.
Yeah, like if you can lock down the operational side, like sales ops and admin have a solid person in each of those, that's when your whole mission is just like either a copy and paste, like multiple locations, or for the example, especially the first hub, going straight into Connecticut. Like, would you be going like Milford area?
We probably stick like New Haven and then east.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so like you would just start moving into that market, like you'd focus on all the aspects of growth in those new areas. But if you're able to get the first location to say 3 to 4 million by going into Connecticut, that's
Hmm.
when it starts looking really interesting. Can you start breaking this off at like $1 million locations? Because like 4 to 5 employees with a GM is like the perfect model for the
Mm,
copy and paste millionaire. Now, the thing is, you've got to create the hub. Like the hardest part about the entire book is creating command center, and that's why
right.
like your admin person, if he's a savage, I would lean into that. And give him a very clear outline of like, here's what's going to look like. We're going to do multiple locations. You're going to have to create an admin team below you. You're going to have to hire them. You have to train them. You have to create. But like, that's the unlock because you have a very high margin service, and if you can do it with 4 or 5 employees, do $1 million. Like that's a model that now it's not like let's move into this market. You would just be like, okay, this is an hour away, but I don't want to drive. I know immediately I lose all my margin, so I'm going to just plop a location over
Hmm.
there, and you just have this like rollout strategy of like one at a time. That looks really interesting to me, given the margins that you've been able to and give a good brand. Like it's really good. Like it's actually pretty
Thanks.
rare that I would be um, as positive about someone being able to actually do the copy and paste method as what you have here. And so
Appreciate
the
that.
thing is, like, I think there's value in building that hub. And that's why I'm encouraging that part for the next couple of years. But I think the current model is actually what you want to copy and paste. Because if you notice,
Okay.
like as you started saying, "Hey, we're going to go above a million," like your margin started compressing, and it's just simply because now I need a salesperson. Now I'm going to need
Yeah.
to build an admin team. Like if you can just build this one hub, and maybe it only does 20% margin because you have like a full office, like you'd have to really build it out. But then when you plop these in, an hour away, an
That's
hour and a
when
half
margin
away,
goes up.
yeah, exactly. You get a cheap little shop space, throw a GM in there. You have a launch strategy to spend 30, 40 grand in marketing, immediately get up to a certain amount of recurring revenue. All of that's being done over the phone or through your office, so they don't have to worry about it. We kind of do where it's 90 days where the owner's hands on. And then the whole objective of that is to get the recurring base high enough to where we get above break even. Then
Mm,
it can start moving a little slower because if you throw a new GM into a growth location that is just every single day getting two, three, four new recurring customers, like it just, they, they usually can't handle it. But if you
hmm
can do it for 90 to 120 days where you get
hmm
in there, you scale it to that point, then you hand it off to someone and then it starts growing a little bit slower. And if that location can do $1 million in its second year with 25, 30% margin, like you're off to the
Sick.
races.
Yeah. When it comes to, because like that's one thing that have been hard to crack is like the recurring revenue model in this space. Like mowing, I get it. Grass grows every week. Like you got to go cut it. But like here, we've been trying to do with Windows to kind of lock that customer in. But what tends to be the issue is like Windows is low margin, or it's just like low ticket, I should say.
It's just like mowing. We don't
It's
make any
just,
money on mowing.
oh, really? So you guys are like the fertilization stuff is like where you guys are making your money.
Mulch, bush trimming,
Interesting.
leaf cleanup, like all that stuff is 60% margin. But everyone thinks they need mowing, and that's what they search.
Right.
And so, like, I think it all comes down to your upsell process, both before and during and after the window cleaning, and
Mm,
any other service, really any service. But
yeah.
because Windows is so like, do you guys usually go inside too, or just outside most of
Just
the time?
outside. We've
Got
tried
it.
inside. Inside is a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. So like most of the time, your clients are home, right?
Yeah, I'd say 80% of the time.
Cool. Yeah, so like I would create a really solid upsell strategy with your crew out in the field, like and like package all the other services you make money on with the Windows services.
Yeah.
So you'd have like, your Windows. Do you already do this? I'm assuming you probably do.
Sort of kind. I mean, we upsell like all the time. My techs have
Yeah.
incentivized, like they get 5% commission on whatever they upsell when the customer is, if we already bought the customer. So yeah, we do some of that, but we haven't packaged it and
Yeah.
productized it. That's like
Yeah.
where
The
that's
package.
where I've struggled.
Yeah, you can just make a really solid offer to where like any upsell that the tech gives is overshadowed by a package that is just killer. Like
Yeah.
it's like here's all these things, and maybe you have three or four things you're always going to be able to give them as an
hmm
upsell. By the way, if you just wanted this monthly subscription that we do, it like you can make the cost look so different when in reality
mm
it's just the frequency of service is so much greater.
Yeah.
And then you just bundle up, you call it something really cool. Like you just
hmm
integrate like you'd have your downspout package, which is basically like everything above. Like you could really make it like a one, two, three. It's
hmm
99, 149, and 199 a month. Here's the things that you're getting. Here's the guarantees that come along with it. Or do you want a $500? You just paid us $500, or do you pay
Right.
$100 a month? Like you can make it
Yeah.
really a slam dunk offer, and then you just make your text like be like, hey, present these first, and then your downsell is this thing.
Yeah.
And then if they accept one of these, be like, oh, by the way, we have this promotion, and then we'll save you even more money.
Does it sound crazy? Because I've thought about so if I use let's pay like a 1,200 bucks for the house wash. Like that's typically our average ticket is like 13.46
That's
or
good,
something like
really good,
that.
really good.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I think for
That's why you have good margins. Most of the time,
yeah,
that's not the case in soft wash. So good job.
no.
Yeah, no, the 12, 1,300 is not common. Like you're also in a higher market, like so larger houses,
Yeah,
etc.
right.
But I see way too many soft wash guys going at 500, $600 now. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, we're not leaving the shop for that. No.
Yeah.
That. Uh so like if you had a $1,200 house wash, like house windows, the whole shebang, and you just paid $120 a month or $100 a month for the year, I mean, is that crazy to try and sell that? And then at what point do you start to at what point do you add that in? Because now I'm also worried about cash flow, right? Like we're so used to having those $1,200 tickets come in every single month, but now we're only having 120 bucks, and yeah, that looks great over when you amortize it out, but initially it's gonna kind of hurt.
Yeah, the thing is, if someone washes their house every year, like they don't need it. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Do they need to be cleaning their house every year?
No, not at all.
Right. And so that's what you're going after. You're going after the fact that the second, the third, the fifth, fourth visit is a fraction amount of time, and that every time you show up, you're selling them another thing. And so what's so nice about this service is it probably needs to be done every 3 to 4 years, like
Correct.
to look really bad, depending on obviously like the property. But if you can get them on once a year, in their mind, you can compare annual versus the monthly. In 2026, we're trying to give away 100,000 copies of the Copy and Paste Millionaire book that I recently wrote. It's the blueprint from getting from $0 to $3 million in annual revenue for any home service business. Now, as part of the 100,000 book challenge that we're trying to give away, we have 2 ways to be able to take advantage of this. One, you can get the free audiobook, ebook, the course, and a physical copy of the book sent to you for free without paying shipping if you go to mikeandys.com/CPM course. Now, if you're like, I don't want to take a course, I just want the book shipped to me right away, you can go pay for the shipping at $6.50 for a $35 book. I'll cover everything else. Just go to mikeandys.com/100K. Our goal is to get this book in the hands of 100,000 home service business owners.
Yeah.
And so you can be like, hey, you just paid $1,200. Great. Let's do $99 per month. It's $1,200. It'll save you $200 a month, even the payments out. And if you do that, you get this other thing for free. You're gonna have this other thing for free being so good and so juicy, which you know is like 90% margin, and just takes your time and just do it when you're there already. And that would assume we just want to do it around the soft wash. Like I would be really interested in creating another bundle around like, hey, we do your lights, we do your gutters, we do your soft wash, we do your windows, we do everything. That would be interesting to me as well. And that's probably like your $99 package is like the very simple, hey, you just paid us $1,400. Why don't we make that $1,200 a year, just even out the payments and you get this thing for free. Second option, $199, but you get lights, you get all this other stuff. And that's the one where you start to make probably more margin on. But the thing is, the nice thing about having the first one, even if you got $1,200 for a service that you get $1,400, first off, you get them for the second service. And in my opinion, like the whole objective is get them from one time to just a second one.
Yep.
And then if you can do that, you just double at least their lifetime value. Yeah, like it's really the scheduling aspect. You're able to have way more schedule flexibility when you get them on this annual thing. Because right now they all come barreling in spring rush. And then you got to like figure things out. When they're on an annual subscription, you can just be like, yep, this is going to be your date. And you'd actually just move all your subscriptions out of spring rush, thereby increasing your annual capacity.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. So you can put more money into one truck by that.
100%.
Yeah.
So you might give them 20% off against a one-time visit, but you're able to move them outside the time when you're otherwise basically turning away leads.
Yeah. Do you know of anyone that's done this model in this space?
There's quite a few. Not right off the top of my head. I'm talking to, what's his name? Give me 1 second. I can actually find a name for you. I'll try to connect with a guy that's local that does this, and they do a great job. But I think it would 100% work. It's all about how you train your upsell, like your technicians on that, and how you incentivize them. But I would, like, if the one fear that you have is like, I'm putting a $1,400 ticket down to $1,200, I'm losing my margin. I would think of it as one, I'm locking in there's doubling of lifetime value, but more importantly, you have scheduling flexibility, increasing the amount of revenue you can do per year per truck. Like right. I would just be like, okay, these 4 months, I know I'm getting crazy amounts of leads. None of my subscriptions are going in there. I'm pushing them all off later in the year. Yeah,
it's kind of like the early bird Christmas light installs. Like if you install in September, great, love it. Yeah, I mean, and then what's funny, Mike, is like I thought about, well, you could just literally copy and paste just the Christmas light business. I mean, that's almost like its own separate thing. So part of what I was thinking about in terms of scaling, and tell me if I'm crazy, is like we added a third truck this year, just by renting one for like $2,500, and then we sold like 70 grand into it, and then I just like turned it in. It was great. I put a ladder rack on it. It was awesome. Like this coming fall, the plan would be to go and drop a truck in Connecticut. I have a friend over there that said he'd be willing to kind of manage, and he's a sales guy by trade. So I think he'd be able to do it. Drop like 1 or 2 trucks over there, test the market. And then when we go to move into Connecticut, we already have that book of business there. I mean, is that like a crazy way to try it or test it? Or is that kind of like a waste of time? Or did you say focus on Rhode Island?
I wouldn't say it's a waste of time. I would say I get some concern leaning on a system of like, I have a friend. Because like when you do the second and the third and the fourth one, you won't have that. So duplicating it there or like proving the model there doesn't do you any good. Because like you don't have a friend in every market. And so I would do the harder work of like, I've got to not lean on that system in order to be able to figure out the back end. Like the hub needs to work on the
Mm,
back end without that being the case, so that when you do it in
mm.
second and third and fourth, you already have the playbook. You just can copy and paste it.
Yeah. So this year, I guess my big what I kind of want to take away from this call is like, where should my focus be if if the goal is like 1.82 million, where do I need to be like right now in order for me to get there and then scale into 3 million like in the next 2 years?
Yeah, I would say the most basically anything on your plate that's not sales needs to be delegated. You have the margin, and as you get to that full-time GM level, you have to do that. A lot of times, that's what people stall out on one to 1.2 is there's too many admin and operational tasks on their plate. And so I would solidify. It sounds like you have a really all-star admin person. I would solidify their role. I would create a ramp for them, so like you can retain them over the next 5 to 10 years, explaining the direction of the business, but like really emphasizing the importance of what the command center needs to look like, what they need to be able to do for training, creating an LMS, hiring admin staff underneath them, and like it's all them. And
Mm,
like that includes giving them like a budget for development, so they would go get coaching from people that have built like call centers or admin. Like there are people out there, LinkedIn, whatever, or go to a conferences. Like they got to learn how to hire, but you can't think about admin at all. And it sounds like you got someone that's kind of like just needs to have like their pay ramp and like the bit of a vision to go do that. And then
yeah.
operations, same thing. Right now,
I kind of have it's my guy does like ops and admin and a
got
little
it.
bit of sales. And I'm like,
Mm,
we're losing things at this point because
yep.
it's just too much.
Yeah,
But
so
it's
like the delineation of those three roles
mm,
is the most important now. Like if whether he's admin or operations, like you'd have to figure that out. It honestly would come down to whoever you hire. If you
yeah,
hire a strong admin person that's just like absolute A plus, he might be like, hey, I'll move into ops. And then just like we need clarity around that. And I would have the conversation with him, be like, hey, do you prefer one of these two roles? Because the one that you don't want, I'm going to go hire for. And if you're completely indifferent, I'm going to go hire somebody. And it's going to be one of these. And then we're going to create some delineation here. And
yeah.
then you're going to focus on sales. If you do that, you'll get to 1.5 to 2 million. Like if you just do that one thing, like just delineate the roles, find two all-stars that you can lean on, you have the margin to pay them well, and then give them a ramp that's very much dependent on being able to make the hub work,
Hmm.
because that hub is going to be where you train people, like your
Hmm.
operations, and it's going
Hmm.
to be where you also do all the admin side so that you can copy this $1 million model elsewhere. But we've got
Hmm.
to build this hub to like 3 million just to make it worthwhile to keep that office in
I get it.
place.
I got you now. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You have to scale in order to drop and do $1 million
Yeah.
markets. Like
Because
you have
because
to.
because yeah, otherwise what happens is people are like, I'm gonna start copy and pasting $1 million. And now they have three shops doing $1 million, but because they have an office just anchoring it all down with overhead, they don't make any money. I want that one location to be at 20 to 25% margin at 3 million, but it has a full out office. It has a training center, like basically a room where you can train admin or sorry, train operational people, train GMs, etc. And
Yeah.
then you just start going to new markets. Like, where's the new market? Can I get a really cheap lease in a good, like, very centralized area? Find a great general manager. All right, great. You go to training, and my ops guy is going to train you how to do it. And you do all that during your off season,
Yeah.
right? So like this is going to be something you will probably be chomping at the bit to do this time next year, and it might be the year after that you actually do it.
Mm.
But that is you will bring people your GM prospects to you train them up. You got admin coming in, and that person is training, but it's all at the hub. And then the spokes is where you spend all your time on, which is like I want to ramp this thing up, bunch of marketing dollars, ramp this thing up, hand it off to a GM, ramp it up, hand it off to a GM.
Mhm. How do you go about because like right now we finished the year off like 170 grand in the bank cash. I've been taking a $70,000 salary just to like and I have a rental property, so like that house was paying for a bunch of stuff. Like I'm fine. Like I try and stay pretty frugal during the summertime. Every once in a while, I'm a boat captain by trade, so I'll go run a yacht for someone and I'll make like three grand. I'll be like, okay, cool. I don't have to, think about all the other ancillary bullshit.
Mhm.
But I'm really trying to like this year focus fully and like get all the distractions away. Um, I bought that property a long time ago, so it doesn't, I mean, that's things like runs on its own. But how do you get through that, like almost like that fear of like, all right, there's 170 grand in the bank. We have to allocate XYZ. Like I just bought another truck because with three trucks, we can get to that 1.5, 1.8, and maybe 2
Mhm.
million, depending on where we are with gutter installs. How do you get through that? Like, because margins are now going to go down, right?
Mhm.
I hate that. Like that's a pit in my stomach, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm happy with that 22 to 25% margin that we're at right now. And I don't necessarily like to hear that, but I know it's just the reality of it. So
Yeah.
like how do you deal with that in terms of like when you're building, well, what was Copilot now Homeworks, and for the longest time, like watching your content, you're like, we're not profitable, right?
Mhm.
Or going through those first like locations with Augusta. Like what's your strategy, I guess?
Yeah, like that's why if you look in, I think it's chapter 6, whatever, the in the book, it starts with 90% of people just stop here, which
Yeah.
is one location, 20 to 30% margin, let's go. If you're gonna hold your breath and go to the next level, that's where you're gonna see compression, and that's where does get scary. I think you're in a spot though, from a cash perspective, where how I would rationalize this is you have cash in the bank to be able to justify hiring two solid people, paying their entire salary for the entire year, and
Hmm.
being okay. And if you do that and you get two solid people, assuming they're the right people, when you wake up in a year, you'll have a business that's twice as big. The valuation of that, and yes, you'll be cash poor, but your net worth will have doubled, and you'll have created the playbook to 10x the thing. And
Right.
so the holding of your breath from 1 to 3 is why most people won't do it, although like venture into 1.2 and then come back back to 1 is because they're
Yeah.
like, forget this. Like I just don't want to be at 15, 12, 8% margin. But like that's why if you just focus on one location getting to 3 million, I do think you can still be at 20% margin. It's just that 1 year where you're gonna have to go a bunch of overhead in the form of a salesperson, an operations person, and an admin person is the infrastructure required for Zach to be like the guy that you just go starts locations, finds great general managers, pops them back to the hub, trains them
Hmm.
up. Like that creation of the model is expensive. And so it just
Yeah.
depends on like what size play. When I hear 10 million and 100 million, and like you're comparing yourself to these people who are doing that size of thing, they're like, I want to do that. That's what's going to be required. There's no way you're going to be like, this one location we're going to do $1 million and somehow we're going to make 10 million in profit. Like it's not going to happen, right? So there'll be a bit of a chasm there, and the next year and a half to 2 years, as you build out the hub, will be very boring for you because it'll be mostly just doing the same, more of the same, and then finding 2 to 3 really solid people. But if you do that and then they come in and do what you're not even thinking of, which is what a great hire will do, that's what sets you up to like probably do what I think is probably your strength, which is going from 0 to 1 million. And you just keep doing that one action over and over and over again. What people
Yeah.
do too often, they'll read the book and be like, oh, I should just start doing it now. And then their margins go completely to zero because they don't have the hub being profitable once you
Mm.
start adding the admin and everything. So I want you to be able to build that out and make that profitable and then start copying around that.
When you say hiring that admin, like how much of that role is almost completely autonomous? Like I have a tendency where if I hire someone, like I almost kind of like I train them up as best as I can. I always give people like a good amount of leeway and be like, hey, make this role your own. And then I'm just like, that's done. Like I'm gonna come and check in, but I'm not gonna be over you. And that's kind of sometimes it's bit me in the ass, but sometimes most of the time it's worked out. With an admin role, like right now, Dan, who's my general manager, that's just kind of the role, the word that we've been using to encapsulate his
Mhm.
role is like he does a little bit of sales. He does all inbound, all the outbound, dispatching trucks, making sure collections are done, scheduling the guys. Like he's got a lot on his plate. So right now, as we're sitting like January 5th, would you say go find that admin, train that person up, and then delegate all of Dan's role off to him or her, and then go hire that sales rep? Or would it be
Yeah.
sales rep first and then admin?
So I always want to start from lowest leverage task up, right? So admin first, then operations, and then sales. And
Gotcha.
so if I was talking, because what's funny is like you and him are kind of doing basically together building the business, right? Like you're both
Kind
kind of
of,
like,
yeah.
that's where I would just both sit down and be like, hey, we know that this is working, but we're hitting up against the fact that, to your point, you said some things are starting to slip through the cracks. I think he's probably pretty frustrated by that. If he's a really great operator, like
Hmm.
there's nothing more frustrating than like little things slipping through the cracks because you know that it's just simply delegation and like role definement. So
Yeah.
if you just take, okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to write everything in admin, operations, and sales that we both do. And you just start categorizing it. And then you just simply say, both got to choose one of these categories, and then we're going to hire for the third one. And then he's going to be like, no, I really like working with the guys. I like training them. Great. Your operations. That means everything in admin, I'm going to go hire someone to get. And then you both come to this agreement that like, which of these three roles are we going to let go of? I
Mm-hmm.
happen to believe that it is easier to hire an all-star admin person than an all-star operations person, because it's simply because it's a higher leverage task. So if he's doing sales, operations, and admin, I feel like probably the most common path is you in sales, him in operations, and then you go find an admin person. Because the
Yeah.
admin person just needs to have skills of admin. It's very cross industry. Like they just need office experience, and they need to be like a high level executor. Like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way it's very clear in terms of like the things that they do that Dan does, or is it Dan? Sorry.
And yeah.
Dan does not need to do, and the things that he is going to eventually get off of his plate. And you just be like, hey, it's going to take a 3 month ramp, but eventually all these things will be off your plate. You can focus on the team. And then by doing that, you now have operations and admin off your plate. You go
Mm-hmm.
focus on selling. That's how you can scale it up
And then at what point do you say, okay, go hire a sales rep?
when you're going to start doing multiple locations.
Oh,
So
so
like,
right. So like this year, you would say, Zach, you're still doing all the sales.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like at that size, you're not going to go get a salesperson yet. And because you've been sharing it with someone else, like I feel like there's going to be a whole bunch of juice to squeeze once you get in the role and just start thinking about sales.
Mm.
I think you could easily get to 2 to 3 million with that model of you sales, great operation. You like they should be calling into him when they're sick. Everything should be handled operationally, training, everything from him. You should hardly know anyone before they're hired. And then
Mm-hmm.
admin side, same thing. Like they should take every system you give them and just make it 10 times better. You give them all like very much incentives around the like when you do multiple locations, they should be pushing you towards that. But then you got to be like, hey, we've got to hit these operational and KPIs. Like when you hand like admin off, for example, having the KPIs of every little thing that you and Dan agree on is the part that allows you to step away from the role. So when you say, hey, answering phones, okay, great. Like, what does a good answering phones look like? Number of answered calls, what's the wait time, what percentage of them have a booked appointment? Like, figuring out those KPIs next to the role is a thing that then you can then step away with confidence and actually go focus on sales, and then down the road copying and pasting locations. It's the KPI part that you will probably have to flesh out a little bit because you and Dan have just been juggling it together and doing a great job.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel very blessed to have Dan. I mean, we wouldn't be like, I mean, we've been in business for less than 2 years. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
technically the LLC's been open for more, but less than 2 years, like $1 million in rev and then profitable at the end of that, I feel like is pretty, I feel good about it. I figured you were going to say like sales, but that's where my mind immediately goes. Like the next
Like
hire.
hiring a salesperson?
Yeah.
Well, I think you're really good at sales. I think it's harder to find a really good salesperson than it is a really good admin person. And it sounds like operationally Dan's solid. And so I think that unless you went to Dan, he's like, I just love sales. I love talking to people. I just want to do that. Okay, that's when you might adjust a little bit from what I said. And like,
He
hey,
likes
he
doing
thinks
some
sales.
sales.
Yeah, I think the clarity. I think the thing that he's gonna like, because he probably likes. I'm just guessing. He probably likes having a little bit of variety. It sounds like he's pretty entrepreneurial. The thing is, he's also extremely frustrated by the fact that things fall through the cracks simply because he has so many things on his plate.
Yeah.
And so you just be like, hey, I'm giving you first dibs. I will adjust to whatever you want. And so, which of these three roles, now that we've clearly defined three different roles, do you want to fully exclusively focus on as we scale the company? So you can just dominate this thing, and I can create KPIs for every one of these things that we've talked about. Because same thing with admin, you're going to do operations, like efficiency score, number of completed on time, number of upsells. Like you're going to have all these things from an operational perspective. You're going to be measuring as well. But I think he would like it. And if you bring him in the conversation early and just be like, hey, it's up to you. Like, which of these three, we're going to get someone to fill the third role so we can all like dominate in our individual categories.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. In the book, you mentioned that you should, or actually not, it was in the book. It might have been in the book. It might have been on one of your podcast episodes. You were like, when you're in grow mode, which correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I'm in grow mode right now. Base the GM, which pseudo Dan, off of percent of top line versus instead of being bottom line profit. So I built out his compensation program, and then I base it off of 1% of top line revenue with a base salary of 70,000, and then his ability to sell and get a 5% commission on anything that he sells. I mean, does that sound crazy, or would you rather see it based off of, profit?
Yeah, I don't think this location is in growth mode now. It's past 1 million. Like you're optimizing it. Also, he doesn't have full control of if he's not going to do sales, he doesn't have control of top line revenue. And so, like, that's where when we say GM, I'm saying someone who runs a 4 to 8 person location and does like what is happening now. Like I would say he's a GM now, but he's
Yeah.
not going to be a GM if you start getting a 2-3 million and you have an admin person and he's going to have to choose one of these roles because like you're just never going to be able to have where you both of you are just juggling all three until 3 million. Like it's just not going to
Yeah.
work. I think he would recognize that. But what you want to be careful of is giving him the role of like you are operations, but you're getting revenue or money based on top line revenue. Well, now it's just based on how you sell, right?
Right.
It's based on how you price. And so as soon as someone does not have full control, like an actual GM, like what you just described is definitely what I would say the past 2 years would be a great comp model for him because you've been growing really fast and it's like, just pedal to the metal, let's go. He's been involved in sales, cool. That model, what you just described, will likely work down the road when you copy and paste for the first year compensation model. While
Mm,
you're in growth mode, you're buying trucks, you're doing a bunch of marketing, etc. Once you're past that, though, you want them on distributions, like distributable cash. So if I was you, I would probably look at Dan and even the person you hire on the admin side. I would probably give them a piece of distributions, but then just say, hey, I know we're expanding quickly. And so I'm going to put some incentives around us getting to 1 and 3 locations, like a
mm,
second location and a third location.
interesting.
Because then they have to create the systems for an admin assistant, a operation, like creating the curriculum to hire general managers would be Dan's role if he becomes the operations manager,
Hmm.
right? And so they should be incentivized on the multiple location thing, the same way you are from a net worth perspective. But then they
Mm,
need that extra layer because you doing all this like infrastructure building is going to cost the main company a huge margin compression.
right. So then I mean, how do you articulate that to someone where they're like, well, we're not going to be as profitable right now, so therefore I'm not going to get paid as much, right? Or did I not read you right on that one?
You're fine. So I would say I would give them a higher base
Hmm.
than what you might be thinking now, and then I would give them their base would jump based upon when you have first or second location and a third location.
Gotcha.
Those would be base jumps. So that's like strategically long term. They just want to get there.
Hmm.
Then I would give them a piece of the hub in terms of profit sharing. Call it profit sharing, distributable cash. I would give them a chunk of that. And
Okay.
ultimately, I don't really care how much I give to them in terms of like a lot because I know it's going down the percentage, and I know that like my net worth is wrapped up in the multiple locations, not in
Mhm.
having one big location. No one cares about that.
You're
Even if
saying
you
because that's the more sellable, having multiple locations.
yeah, like all your net worth is tied up in can you do this 10 times, not if you can make one location to go to 3 million.
Right.
And so you give them the base, like directionally, we know where we're going. We want to start copying and pasting the model that we have built in the first 24 months. We
Hmm.
know we can do that over and over again, and we can
Hmm.
use the GM model, which is finding more Dans, right?
Mm.
We can do that more often. Great. We know that will work when we're an hour away, 2 hours away, hour and a half away. Great. We're going to incentivize base pay for those top two people on getting to the second or the third location, but on the hub, that main one that they can actually tangibly feel, and you can pull up P&Ls. I don't know if you saw that video I made on Saturday about on target earnings. Like I would heavily rely on that. Yeah, so on Wednesday it was like a
OTE. Yeah.
yeah, uh, we kind of show how we do it with ours. I would
Okay.
highly recommend that for these two people because you have a
Admin
P&L
and
with
DM.
good. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like,
Okay.
hey, whether you're giving one 8% or one of them 12% or whatever it is, you're going to show last year's numbers and be able to give a very good idea of what the hub is supposed to make.
Mm. How do you, because one thing that I've been learning is, leadership is like become a huge component of this. And I don't know if you know, well, you're a gym guy. You know Sorinex? You ever heard of that before?
No,
Exercise equipment?
Sornex?
Sorinex?
No.
No? Oh, you'd like them. Check them out. So Sorinex exercise equipment, they're all made in the United States in Lexington, South Carolina. And I got tied in with them because a buddy of mine is Zach Brown, the Zach Brown band. He's the COO for Zach Brown. So he
Okay.
invited me to this event and it's all outdoors and there's like shooting and guns and like tactical stuff. And it's just fun, right?
Hmm.
But like the co-founder, Kip Fulks, the co-founder of Under Armour, has been there. And it's all got like you're just sitting around a bonfire with these guys. So I get there the first year, I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? And honestly, I don't think if I went there, I would have created Downspout. I don't think that would have happened. So anyway, long story short, like I'm going to this event come the end of the month, and I guess the question is like, Dan is a great GM, but he doesn't have that like wanting to get better, like
Hmm.
personally better type of
Yep.
mentality. He's really good at what he does. He's excellent at thinking through problems, but for me, I'm always someone like I create like I that's why I booked the call with you, right? Like I crave this kind of type of stuff in order for me to get better. And it comes out on the back end. So when you have someone like that, like when do you know to, I guess, change that person's role, or if that person continues to grow with you, or like when do they start to kind of fall off?
Yeah, so two things. One, there is definitely a time when you outgrow people. I also think that there is a huge benefit to having people that don't need new things. They just are
Hmm.
like happy doing exactly what you tell them. Give me the list, boss. I will knock this out. And you just confidently know it's taken off your plate. There's this notion that a lot of us buy into that's just like you need to have leadership and management in order to be able to move up inside the company. You want to be careful of that because there are individual contributors that are extremely valuable. Like evidence of this is like recently how like Meta has been paying like billions of dollars for basically engineers,
Hmm.
individual contributors, not even managers, not leaders, just like you are incredible at doing the work. And
Hmm.
so I think the thing to be careful of is always as you scale, just you basically incentivize people to just keep managing other people. And this is what leads to bloat in terms of management layers is just the fact
Yeah.
that it's like, oh, like if you manage other people, you get more money. So I would say that yes, you can like motivate them. Like Jocko's event would be really good for Dan. I feel like and leadership training and tactics would be a good book for him, kind of thing. But like, there's also times where like they don't want to change. They're like, hey, like I'm happy where I'm at, and like
Yeah.
I was execute, and that's where I think why I kind of pushed him in operations because like
Hmm.
kind of thought he would be like. Whereas like sales, you need to be on the hunt. You're going, you're growing. But
Yep.
if he can just be like, hey, you might need to help him make create the checklist, create the systems. But if he's a great executor and he'll like, hey, I'll make the 1% optimizations, but you've got to give me the framework. Great,
Yeah.
you can work with that.
Yep.
He just has to be in operations. He cannot be in sales.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Makes
So I think you can work with them the confines of someone's skill set. And then I'll also say that if you get 5 or 10 locations, there's a good chance you have a sit down with them, and be like, hey, either A, I need you to step up, or B, do you want me to hire? You're going to help me hire your boss.
yeah.
So someone that can like develop curriculums, hire multiple GMs at the same time, travel out and go start their location. Like I need someone that's that level. And if you don't want to, that's fine.
Hmm.
But that's going to be required in probably 12 to 24 months as we've started to do multiple locations.
Right. Do you open up one location at a time or do you multiple?
One per year.
One
Yeah.
per
Start
year.
start that as your cadence until you have a solid team.
Hmm.
So I usually say from 1 to 6. When you get your first regional manager, you're going to do one a year, one per year.
Hmm.
So that usually looks like you being there for 3 to 4 months, being very hands-on, then slowly merging off to the GM, you're really focused on ramping up to where it's above break even, then
Hmm.
handing off to them, probably doing 50 to 60,000 a month in revenue, them getting it to 80 to 90 to 100 over the next, following 8 months. But it's a
Yep.
slower growth curve. And then assuming too, the reason why I like the one per year for the first 6 is you don't have a regional manager in place, and if someone goes down, you're gonna have to go right back to square one, which is finding another
Hmm.
general manager, scaling up. So I bake in there that you're gonna have a GM churn per location,
Hmm.
right? So like you're gonna get someone up in 2 months, they don't work out, you're gonna get someone else. Great, you're just gonna have to stay there longer,
Yeah.
and be more hands on with that location.
Gotcha. I know we're kind of tight on time right now, but when it comes to, I guess the one concern that I have pay for performance is people will never know how much I make. How do you get over that hurdle?
P for P or open book management, you mean?
I'm sorry. So I guess like if it like Dan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be like, hey, dude, here's where the profit's at. Here's what we're doing. Like, is that indicative of saying now you know what I make? Here's where we're going. Like, does that ruffle feathers? Does that make things awkward? Like, what do you think about like how have you overcome those types of situations, I guess?
Yeah, like um, I can guarantee you he has a pretty good idea of how much you're making, and usually that number is higher than what it actually is,
Yeah.
because they'll look for proof like new trucks, etc. So when you open up the books, you have to give him a piece of the pie,
Hmm.
and so that's why I would rather you go after distributable cash. Because if he starts looking at the bottom line when you show him a P&L, he's like, ooh, $250,000, that looks juicy. And you say, oh, okay, well, yeah, you're going to be getting 10% of that.
Hmm.
Like, do you really think he wants that number to go down? No, he wants to go
Right.
up, right?
Right.
And so you just got to give him a piece of the action. If you're doing good, you want a piece of the action. If you're doing bad, it's like the rallying cry, middle of the halftime game show situation with the coach, pep talk. But like when you're doing good, you just got to give him a piece of the action. And so if you walked into him now and be like, hey, we're going to figure out which of these 3 roles we're going to, it sounds like he's going to do operations. So you
Hmm.
let him come to that conclusion.
Hmm.
And then, okay, great. I'm gonna go find an admin person. By the way, your new comp model is going to be from a bonus perspective. You're gonna get X amount of whatever's on the bottom line. You can see last year's. This is the P&L. So on target earnings, if we do exactly as last year, here's what your pay would be, and have a scaling spreadsheet. So if we grow and this is our margin, you just have a few variables. Like the one on Saturday, the video will show you. You just gotta have a few variables that you could change, and he could quickly do the math. Like, okay, if revenue goes to this, our margin goes to this. Okay, that's our distributable cash. Boom, I'll get 10% of that, whatever it might be. Once that's in place, then it's just a function of his base pay being tied to the direction of the company, which is when we do a second location, your base pay goes up. Also, the reason you do that is because he's gonna have to take more off your plate, and he's gonna be much more involved in the hub. And
Right.
so you want him to have a piece of that action because you're going to be outgone.
Yeah. How do you determine what that distribution is?
You want it to be meaty, right? Like he's not going to wake up every day and give a discretionary effort over 5 grand. And so I'm just going to, like, let's say he's making 70 grand or 80 grand now. Like I would be trying to get him to 100 grand. With the distributions. And again, you can run the math pretty quickly and know, like, you're like, well, what happens if we decrease in margin? Well, then it's going to decrease in his pay. Like, so you need him and the other person that you get in admin always thinking about the bottom line. Like that's all you need. So like anything besides distributable cash gets very tough for you to go focus on another location because you need them guarding the hub. From an operation and admin perspective, like you'll get it in a year and a half, 2 years, to where sales is pretty easy there. It's very much on autopilot. You've dialed in all the systems because you'll have full time on it. You'll get a lot of it online, a lot of it going through the office, etc. And so that will not be as difficult. It's the operations admin you need to unlock when you leave, and the only way to do that is distributable cash, where you can share all the numbers, and they really have a vested interest in like the rent, the insurance, the fuel, every little thing.
Yeah. So open book management really is the best way to scale.
Yeah, and if you're like, I want to decrease, you could always tie your compensation up higher into wages and just like roll it all into wages and increase your pay. You could do that. Or you say, hey, you're probably underpaying yourself. Great. Let's give yourself a $120,000 salary. That's now in wages, and that's just all lumped in with the other 400,000. You could do that.
Right.
I generally don't. I don't mind my team knowing my salary, but like if you're like a little bit cautious, totally fine. Just throw in the wages. No one will ask you a single thing about it. And then you can absolutely warrant the fact that you're worth 120,000 as the CEO.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. All right. I mean, do you offer any other coaching? No.
Not really. Sorry. I do this mostly just for like, I know people like you, like, you're like, hey, I can't do a Q&A and call in show. I need like a little more time. That's really why I do it. I just don't even know how long I'll be able to, honestly. So
If I developed is there anyone on your team that if I developed like a comp plan, like someone I could like pay to like have a look at it and like be like, hey, this looks good? Or
yeah, well, I usually recommend is like when you're at this point, like I think you pretty much have the roadmap for 2026 of what you're gonna do, like finding the people, creating the comp model, getting to the point where you get to that $2 to $3 million marker. You focusing on sales will do that just by itself. But to focus on sales, you need the admin, the operations role. Like that's the actual thing that gets you to the next level is you focusing 100% of your time on sales. To do that, though, you got to get these two solid people. If you do that next year, you're like, okay, I'm ready to copy and paste. Like, what's my next step? Just book another call then. That's what I would say is like, you just need marching orders for the next little bit. You sound like you're really good at executing. And so that's how coaching should be is like, you just need to know what do I do next? And then you go do it and you come back for more instead of like, yeah, what about this? And like, you could get 5 other people tell you to do something different. It's just like, what's
that's the
actual,
problem.
yeah. And so it's just like, that's the part where it's like execute on this. And like, hey, if you wake up in a year and a half, you're like, I don't really want to do copy and paste. I'd rather just keep going bigger with this one location. Great. You have a $3 million business. We can make it happen. But if we get there and like, hey, like Dan needs more. He's hungry for more now, and this admin person is super great. How do I take advantage of it? Like, great, get you out of there, and let's go copy and paste. And I'll give you much more tactical around that part. Like we kind of glanced over that part because that's still a little ways down the road. But just book a call then. That'd be fine.
Yeah. And what about your course that you come out like the 2-day in Washington?
I think it would be helpful. A lot of what we talked about here is what we talk about. Would you gain something? Yeah, seeing the command center would be helpful. I've been pretty prescriptive with you though, like in terms of like, hey, this is the stuff you need to get done.
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm trying to get most people when they come here. And so would it be beneficial? Probably to some degree, even just seeing the team, hearing from my people that do those tasks. But I think you probably got 95% of the good here.
Okay. All right. Sweet.
I don't know why my screen, did my video freeze on you?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, mine froze on my, I don't know what's up.
Oh,
Sorry.
weird. No, man, this was awesome. Like super helpful. Like I'm a very coachable person. So as soon as someone's like, go do this, like I can get far with that, and then I need another like reset. If you had to like, I don't know, leave me with anything in this journey, what would you say?
Yeah, like long term, you know, kind of generally what you want. The challenging part is there's so many ways to get there. So instead of focusing on like that, I would just focus on the next 12 months. And like
Yeah,
regardless of how you get to, let's call it 10 million or whatever down the road, you know you'll have to find two solid people. It's like
yeah,
that is the constraint. Is like finding those two solid people with a great comp model for them and you focusing 100% of the time on yourselves. If you do that, the world will be your oyster in a year when the business is twice the size and you have role clarity and you feel like you've actually nailed sales because that will be the determining part. Like the reason I need you to focus on sales is because that's the determining part of how quickly you can scale to 1 million at the locations in the future. Because operationally
right.
and admin, like the blocking tackling, you know how to do that. Getting from 0 to 1 million as fast as possible at those other locations is the bottleneck. Once you start like, because you could start doing 2 locations a year, 3 locations a year, all dependent on and hinging on how quickly can you ramp them. But that's like a different topic. And like right now, it's like get these two people, get role clarity. That role clarity is what's needed. Even if you like stopped at 3 million, you're like, I just want to get profitable here. You still need those two people.
Right.
So I would just focus on that one constraint.
And then in terms of like the model, would you just hinge more on the subscription stuff rather than just one-offs?
I would look at it as a percentage of revenue. So I would be looking at as the location matures, I want to move more and more of my revenue percentage towards the recurring stuff, knowing that when you start a location, you might have 10 to 15% of revenue being recurring after 3 months.
Hmm.
But that in year 3 and 4, I want that number being 50, 60, like the higher the better. Because the higher that
Right.
number, the less I have to do in marketing and the less volatile my schedule is. And
Mm,
that's ultimately what you can copy and paste and hand off to a GM is a less volatile schedule, revenue that's more steady, and cash flow that's steady. And so
yeah.
that's the objective. But like you'd create benchmarks for like year 1, 2, 3, and 4 of what percentage of revenue is from recurring. And
Mm,
so by you getting 100% of your time in sales, you're going to start nailing what's the package one, what's the package two offer, what percentage can I convert? If I text them 60 days after, can I convert more? Like what's the follow up look like to my upsell? You'll nail all those things. So, but I'm pretty confident in saying that like you might have 10 to 20% the first year, 25 to 35% the second year. Your goal is to get that like 50 to 70% though of recurring
hmm.
revenue over the course of time because that is so easy to hand off to a GM. Scheduling
Mm,
is easier, it makes it operation like training and hiring easier. That's a
yep.
model that you can really replicate.
Yeah. And when it comes to the like the off season, right now, most of our season's spent with takedowns because we have to do takedowns. But gutters is kind of offered, gutter cleaning, like the occasional washes, because we live in an environment that's like not super. I mean, it's cold, but it's not like, it gets above 40, like we're fine. And no other company is open this time of year. So we kind of
Mhm.
have that advantage as well. Would you say offering another service like air duct cleaning is something we should do? Or I just don't want to get too far out of the sphere and then all of a sudden start to like branch off and create a whole other brand. Because if you're offering air ducts cleaning with in January and February, you have to offer it for the rest of the year.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think air ducts would be the move. 'Cause it's gonna follow a similar like seasonality curve. And
Mm,
honestly, the air ducts is the same thing in which like the whole objective would be to try to get them on a recurring service that then you can push the air ducts to a time you know you want it, but they don't
right.
think about it then. Like they think
Right.
about it during the spring too. And so you just increase your spring rush if you add that service. I think it could get interesting where you add other stuff to your recurring package. So that way you can do it. Like basically any service that you can do during your off season could be in the recurring package,
Mm,
right? So for example, you might offer air duct cleaning to if they like that might be the freebie. It's like, hey, if you sign up for this annual thing that you just paid $1,400 for, pay 99 bucks a month, it's $1,200. So you save a little bit of money. We do it every year. And by the way, when we come out, we're also going to do your air ducts.
right.
That starts to look interesting to me. Or you put all your air ducts during like the cold season when there's no snow on the ground. You're like, we can still do this. That looks very interesting to me. I just wouldn't offer as an incoming service because it offers no value to get more leads when leads are already pouring in during that time of year.
Right. Now, on top of that, 9,900 bucks a month, $99 a month, would you also offer like a quarterly Windows subscription, a part of that, like to keep the guys going on
Yeah, I
back?
do like yeah, I would do like the one that like I try to do like the $99 package and then like the pricing stuff, like either 149 or 199.
Mm,
And in the package, like windows in there, I'd package other stuff in there. And then that way, if someone does windows, you have a package to sell them. If they do gutter cleanouts, you have a package to sell them. Like you always are trying to get these people into this like full package, like full service packages. And whether that be like package one is really this annualization of revenue. Like you're just trying to
mm,
spread it out and you're trying to give them something in exchange for better cash flow. Package two is I'm trying to double or triple their annual customer value,
right.
right? By packaging other services in there. And then
Hmm.
me knowing that I can put those services during my off season.
Hmm. Makes sense. Yeah. So like right now, would you say if we offered Christmas lights, like we have a whole book of business, go to them, be like, hey, we can do a subscription. You're going to save X amount of dollars. We already own the lights. So now starting from January, February 1st until basically it's $200 a month. Like, would that be a good play to kind of kick off that subscription type model? That way you have some annual, like some revenue percent already attached to that 10% goal.
Yes. I think the packaging of the packages is so important. Like it needs
Mm,
to be where like you just know cold what they all include. It's very clear the value proposition between the three. And I think the level one is basically annualization of revenue. It is you get one freebie for the fact that you commit to this on a monthly basis. We come back in 12 months, you get a little bit discount, but like that's a solid plan for you to be able to move the schedule accordingly. Package two is like we add maybe one or two extra services. Package three needs to be the thing that is your price anchor, which is probably like a $399 per month package.
mm,
Like, what can you do for 4 or 5 grand? Like, that's your price anchor. And you would offer that first. Be like, hey, by the way, for $499, we do like Christmas light install. We will do your vents. We will do your gutters. We will do wash your house. We will check your roof. Like, you just layer that bad boy on. And then
yeah,
you downsell into 199. And then, like, everyone should be walking away with $99 a month afterwards because they just
right,
gave you 1,400. And for
right,
some reason, with House Wash, people think they need it every year. It's just great
right.
because you can just
Oh yeah,
annualize
it's
it and
awesome.
make it look like a good deal.
Right. That's a really good idea. So I think, yeah, hiring those two people, well, moving Dan into his role, hiring the admin, productizing and packaging,
Which you'll
sale.
do because you'll have sales. Like you'll be 100% on sales.
Right.
So I know you're smart enough. Like website stuff. How do we start making that instant quote stuff? How do I have it when like what's my process look after a job is complete? How do I incentivize the technicians on the upsell? How do I track
Yep.
the upsell stuff? Like you'll figure all that stuff out.
All right. Well, I feel like I got my marching orders now, which is
Let's go,
helpful.
dude. Good
Yeah.
stuff, man. Well, best of
Uh,
luck to you in 2026, man. I really appreciate you.
yeah. Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate you. The content's awesome, so keep it coming. I'll keep consuming, and then hopefully this time next year I'll book another call and we'll be like, all right, how do we open the first location?
Let's go. You're the
So
man. You have a good one,
awesome.
brother.